Welcome to Star Wars News with the Star Wars Daddy. I am your host, your newscaster, and your anchorman, the Star Wars Daddy. In today's newscast, we will be discussing another Andor Season 2 trailer and doing a live reaction to it. Doing a review to Hasbro's most recent Star Wars action figure release announcements, Chuck Norris, a Jedi, along with other famous actors that try to get into Star Wars movies, sleep issues for a certain Jabba denizen, what Star Wars was like for main characters during the pandemic, and a heroic story with a Jedi award at the end, and your usual Star Wars Daddy YouTube updates. If you enjoy this content and want to see more important Star Wars current events from me in the future, please consider watching until the end, hitting like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification to be notified of all of the upcoming content that I'll discuss at the end of this newscast. And please leave me a comment to let me know what outrageous news story was your favorite from today's episode. Our first story comes to us from Andor Season 2 again. Yes, 3 weeks in a row as Disney continues to tease us with trailers. This is the official trailer for Andor Season 2. And I've honestly not watched it until now. What we're about to see is a live reaction to me watching it and giving my opinions on it.
I came with you to be part of something. The Empire cannot win. It's a different kind of mission. If it goes up in flames,
it will burn very brightly.
But if I'm giving up everything, I want to win. We have to. We must stand together. We will be crushed.
Resistance is absurd.
It's a weapon.
They're building a weapon.
The monster will come for us all!
Revolution is not for the sane. You're right here, and you're ready to fight!
There's a future here for those who dare. Welcome to the rebellion.
All right, that was awesome. I really am looking forward to this. I think this is just going to take off from Andor Season 1 and get us prepped for Rogue One. It looks like it's filled with action. There's some characters I didn't recognize. I looked in, so who knows if we're going to be introduced to some new characters. And it would be nice if we could get some of the old characters from Rogue One that appear. Obviously, there's a couple of them, but it would be nice to see some of the other ones that were in Rogue One that we haven't seen in at least Andor Season 1. Man, that's action-packed. I hope every episode has action like that. It's dramatic, it's intense, and this is going to end up being an incredible show. I mean, I am anticipating it, looking forward to it, and I hope it gets us back to being excited about Star Wars and future projects that are coming up. That would be unbelievable. And I think this is a good start. It looks epic to me. Hasbro just announced a bunch of new Star Wars action figures that are going to be released in the next couple of months and are available for pre-order. Alexsander Kallus will be making his first action figure appearance for the Vintage Collection line. If you don't know who that is, either did I. But he has the longest bio I've ever seen on Wikipedia.com. He appeared in the Rebels series, and his life mission was to catch the Ghost and imprison all of the inhabitants of the Ghost. If you don't recognize him there, maybe you will know him from his appearance in Apple's own Angry Birds Star Wars 2 action-packed video game. I believe his appearance there will look much different than that of his human form that this action figure will be based off of. We then move on to a figure I'm not sure anyone is asking for. It's another Dengar. We all know Kenner's release from 1980. His next release wasn't until 1997 on the Power of the Force line. He was then released to look almost identical in 2004 in the Saga series, 2008 on the Legacy Collection, 2010 on the Vintage Collection, 2011 in the Target Exclusive Vintage Collection, 2018 Black Series, 2022 Black Series, the 2022 Retro Collection, and now, again, back on the Vintage Collection, with the only difference really being that he has a pistol that can go into a holder on his hip. If only Disney would put Dengar into their TV series or movies as much as they keep recreating a figure that no one is asking for, then maybe we'd all want his action figure, as I believe they can make him out to be an awesome bounty hunter. We will also be getting Asajj Ventress for the first time, another land speeder vehicle that, again, no one, I believe, is asking for. A Black Series Ezra Bridger from the Ahsoka series, a Night Trooper Black Series edition, a Black Series SM-33, I couldn't tell you, and a Vintage Collection Carson Teva, who has starred in The Mandalorian, Boba, and Ahsoka series. After all of this news, it has most of us wondering if Hasbro has completely given up, or if they are lost when it comes to action figures we want to see. In 1978, after airing the Star Wars Holiday Special, Kenner envisioned a toy line of Chewbacca's family. These prototypes were constructed of Chewbacca, Malia, Itchy, and Lumpy. But the idea was ultimately canned. No shit. Another example of bad ideas that have plagued the Star Wars action figure production. This does have me wondering, though, which one was Lumpy. I'd assume it was the one with the tip. He's arguably one of the toughest people to ever walk on this earth. Yes, tougher than Rambo, stronger than the Terminator, more athletic than Michael Jordan, can perform a stunner more intense than the very own Stone Cold Steve Austin himself, and knows more kung fu than Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yes, we're talking about Chuck Norris. Let me give you some of his statistics that I'm sure you have memorized. In Tan Soo Do, he was a 7-time world karate champion. He's in the Black Belt Hall of Fame. Chun Kuk Do, he is a 10th degree black belt and a founder of that art. Taekwondo, he is an 8th degree black belt. Karate, a 5th degree black belt, and is known as a mixed martial arts master. He is one of only 8 Americans to achieve an 8th degree black belt or higher in Tang Soo Do. Not sure if you know this, but the Star Wars daddy got up to a high green belt in 4th grade. I was one of only 3 kids in my neighborhood that achieved such a mediocre level of Taekwondo. He starred in The Hitman, the Delta Force 1 and 2, The Colombian Connection, Missing in Action, Firewalker, Sidekicks, and Walker Freakin' Texas Ranger. What you might not know is that he was about to star in the original Star Wars trilogy as the head Jedi Master. There became an issue on the set of A New Hope, however, when he refused to lose any of the lightsaber battles, verbal arguments, and practically beat the crap out of anyone who looked at him wrong. The script had him less of a Jedi than Yoda, and when he saw Yoda's shorter stature and found out that he was almost 900 years old, he just laughed. When he found out Princess Leia wasn't going to be his love interest, he blew up one of the Tatooine buildings on the set with a hand grenade. To put it mildly, he was a nightmare. He is a natural Superman, like literally a Superman in real life. He would have been the perfect Jedi, destroying all that lay in his path. Darth Vader, bye. Palpatine, gone. Stormtroopers, recycled. What if Chuck Norris was the chosen one? Maybe it wasn't Anakin. Chuck Norris would have destroyed any Imperial, any Sith, and brought balance to the Force. So much so that it would have given courage for other epic leaders of our childhood to also become Jedi, like Snoop Dogg. Imagine him in the Gangster's Menace. Even Tupac could have become a Jedi Master, where unfortunately controversy would have come out when rival Jedi Masters do a land speeder drive-by and take him out, where maybe the Jedi Council had something to do with it, or Even Jedis that Tupac trusted were involved, or possibly he's still alive somewhere out there on an island in the Caribbean, still releasing rap music. Even the Muppets have attempted to get into Star Wars, but they became too cocky and refused to wear the helmets as they wanted to be recognized and get their screen time. It's also been reported that the standard Stormtrooper helmets wouldn't fit over their bulbous and misshapen heads. And then Hulk Hogan could have had his moment to shine in glory when Chuck Norris wiped out all the bad guys, but unfortunately, my childhood hero took the red pill instead of the blue one, and now spends the rest of his life as a Jar Jar. Star Wars News did reach out to Hulk for a comment, and he chose not to participate in this story. Sleep. We all need it. We never get as much as we want, and for many creatures here on Earth and in space, we all need different amounts of it. Some of the side effects from a lack of sleep can be depression, memory issues, high blood pressure, heart disease, weight gain, anxiety, etc. Did you know that some of the more extreme side effects from a real lack of sleep is heat edema of massively swollen hands and feet, and keratonemia, which causes orangish colored skin. Another issue we don't need to go into with a lack of sleep is Pseudomonas, a urinary tract infection which causes green urine. Why am I telling you this? Well, it's because a recent chart came out showing random creatures in the universe that average the most overall sleep down to a Star Wars character that gets the least. After some of the symptoms I just mentioned, you might already know which Star Wars character gets the least amount of sleep. But for now, let's review the chart. The water bear gets 262,800 hours due to hibernation. A bat gets 20 hours. Lion is 19. Tiger is 18. A cat is 15. Mouse is 14. A dog gets 13, mine probably more. An owl is 12 and a half hours. Duck is 11. Pig is 10. Rabbit is 8.4. Us humans, we get 8 hours on average. Did you even know a fish sleeps 7 hours? An ant gets 4.5 hours. A cow is 4. Donkey, 3. Horse, 2.9. An elephant only needs 2 hours. A shark sleeps 1/10 of an hour. And unfortunately for this beloved Star Wars character, he gets 0 hours of sleep, which has led to all the symptoms I listed. When Ree-Yeast was born, he was born with a defect with his nerves, brain, and muscles, where he's only able to close 2 eyes at once, leaving 1 eye open. He's gone to many specialists to correct this issue, but unfortunately, when he attempts to close his eyes or blink, it's always a random 2 eyes that close. He's constantly having to use eye drops to keep his eyes moisturized. Ree-Yeast is a Gran from the planet Kinyan. Grans need 10 hours of sleep to be able to function, and again, he gets 0 hours of sleep, which tells why his skin is orange and his hands are so swollen. Wikipedia would also tell us that Ree-Yeast became an alcoholic as he struggled with all of these symptoms to drink away his misery. An artist recently drew a rendition of what Ree-Yeast would have looked like if he had been able to sleep. It's quite a stark difference. I'd implore all of my viewers to get your sleep. You don't want to end up like Ree-Yeast at your 100th appointment with the eye specialist, swollen hands, dry eyes, orange skin, all while peeing the color green. Pandemic? Star Wars? What happened to all those movies and characters during that time period? Was Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker able to live normal lives? Or were they held to the same standard as all the rest of us were, like social distancing, mask wearing, and other tactics I can't mention here in order to not lose out on YouTube's algorithms? But I'm talking about sharp, thin objects filled with a solution that went into you. And I'm not talking about my wife's ex-boyfriends. As we head down memory lane, I was able to reach out to Lucasfilm and ask them questions about what it was like for the characters during that time frame. They sent me over a bunch of pictures that depict what everyone went through. First is this familiar scene in A New Hope. But due to regulations, Darth Vader's having to take Leia's temperature and requiring her to wear a mask before taking her prisoner. If only she'd been showing signs of symptoms, she might not have been kidnapped. Remember the toilet paper crisis that was never really a crisis? Well, one of the reasons we had all those concerns was due to those menacing Jawas hoarding all of that toilet paper. I mean, look at the size of this roll. That's cases and cases worth of toilet paper, possibly a lifetime worth of paper for a normal human being. I was told that they ended up selling this paper for giant premiums during the crisis as they rode around in their sandcrawler, selling droid parts to all of their patrons. Here we see General Grievous wearing his mask, making him impossible to understand at that point, and due to his asthma that he already had, he was at a very high risk. Even Darth Vader had to change his force choke habits. At first, he was choking out his peons face to face. Then the choking moved to a social distance of 6 feet or more. And then finally, as people were working from home, he was having to force choke people over Skype. And the last update I was able to get was pretty substantial. During the pandemic, General Palpatine was forced to cancel Order 66 as social distancing was in full effect. His age and having his insides destroyed by his own Force lightning when fighting Mace Windu earlier in his life forced him to take a break in ending all of the Jedi. The good news is that was back then, and we've all moved on from that time period. Things are back to normal now with the Empire wreaking havoc on the universe. Order 66 reinstated, Force choking in person, and toilet paper easily accessible for all. Now on to a tragic story that ends with a Star Wars positive spin. Riley Howell has passed away, saving other people's lives. A college student hailed by police as a hero for preventing more injuries and deaths after a gunman opened fire in a classroom has been immortalized as a Jedi by the production company behind the Star Wars franchise. News outlets report the family of Riley Howell, the University of North Carolina of Charlotte student, who is described as a huge Star Wars fan, was tipped off by Lucasfilm in May that it planned to honor his life in a forthcoming book, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the Visual Dictionary. Lauren Westmoreland, Howell's longtime girlfriend, said in an email that Jedis were close to his heart. Though he wasn't an artist, he loved to draw the clone trooper helmets all the time, sometimes even on my birthday cards, Westmoreland said. Lauren's father, Kevin Westmoreland, said Howell studied the Star Wars universe for most of his life. He had a very strong sense of good and evil and how to live life as someone who looked out for others. Westmoreland said, seeing him listed as both a Jedi and a historian in Star Wars lore is a perfect way to connect him to this story and the characters he loved. Here is a pic of his story as a Jedi in that book. And here is the artwork of him being immortalized as that Jedi. It's a very touching story and probably deserves to be ended right there. But I couldn't help to think about my own death and how I will be immortalized. I too would like to be in a Jedi story as a Jedi to be remembered the rest of existence. I mean, I am the Star Wars daddy after all. So I started chatting with AI about my desires and wishes. After I leave this earth, an AI started asking me questions to better understand my wishes and asked me to send pics of myself, appropriate ones, so AI could capture the essence of the Star Wars daddy. AI then sent me this brief comic novel as an example of what this should look like. The Jedi Heartthrob, Chapter 1, The Dark Side of Charm. In a galaxy far, far away, I, a Jedi Knight known as the Star Wars Daddy, wielded my lightsaber with grace. Yet my greatest challenge was not the Sith or the dark side, but my irresistible charm. Women across the galaxy were drawn to my roguish smile and daring spirit. One fateful day, while on a mission to retrieve a stolen holocron, I encountered the enigmatic Mira, a bounty hunter with a reputation for trouble. Her fiery gaze ignited something within me, and I found myself torn between duty and desire. As we clashed in a duel of wits and lightsabers, I realized that my heart was as vulnerable as my Jedi code. Chapter 2, The Bounty Hunter's Game. Mira challenged me to a high-stakes game of sabacc, her smirk teasing my resolve. As the cards fell, I felt the thrill of the gamble. My heart raced for another reason. With each playful banter, I found myself captivated by her fierce independence. The stakes were high, and I could sense the force swirling around us, drawing us closer. Just as I was about to win, she revealed a secret. The holocron was a trap, set by the Sith to lure me in. Torn between my feelings for her and my Jedi duty, I had to make a choice. Chapter 3, The Duel of Hearts. As the Sith ambushed us, Mira and I fought side by side, our chemistry igniting the battlefield. Lightsabers clashed, and the air crackled with energy. In the heat of the battle, I realized that my charm was not my only weapon. It was my connection with Mira that fueled my strength. Together, we outsmarted the Sith, but as the dust settled, I faced a dilemma. Would I follow my heart and risk everything for a life of adventure with her, or stay true to my Jedi path? Chapter 4, A New Beginning. In the aftermath, I stood at a crossroads. Mira, with her wild spirit, offered me a chance to embrace both worlds. I chose to be a Jedi with a heart, ready to explore the galaxy with her by my side. As we soared through the stars in her ship, I realized that being a bad boy was not just about charm. It was about daring to love fiercely. Together we would face whatever the galaxy threw our way, united by the Force and our undeniable connection. Yes, AI hit this one out of the park. Remember this video. Immortalize me as a bad boy Jedi surrounded by beautiful women as my only weakness, but somehow able to stay a Jedi and be with all of these women. But why was I in her ship? Why didn't I have my own ship, like the Millennium Falcon? And didn't I seem to be a little too thin without muscles? And did I need to have long hair like Fabio? Well, I guess it can't be perfect, but it was pretty close. And finally, a Star Wars Daddy update. Last week we released 4 videos and 4 shorts. 2,000 people tuned in with 176 likes, 5 shares, and 46 comments. We released my Boba Fett collection video that had heads turning with Mechanos, baggies, leadies, PBPs, and even a Pez dispenser graded from Jeremy Bullock's personal collection. We also had episode 67 of our weekly Star Wars eBay listing video, where a buyer canceled $700 worth of items, but where we were still able to salvage all we could and make a pretty healthy profit. Sunday, we'll be having my March mail haul video, where I go over all of the collectibles, vintage toys, that I add to my collection that don't show up in my other videos. We have toy lines like Simpsons, Darkwing Duck, modern Star Wars, vintage Star Wars, graded items, mint on card, loose, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Indiana Jones. It's going to be quite the collection. Wednesday will be episode 68 of our weekly Star Wars eBay listing videos, where we currently have lots of Last 17 figures available that are selling like hotcakes. Make sure to check out the link in the description below to see all of my eBay items currently up for sale. Next weekend will be another installment of the news where we'll see my neighbor in my Ring camera challenge me to a lightsaber duel in the middle of the night. Take a look at a pirated Star Wars record that was released, discuss an eBay listing for a Jawa that does yoga, and many more stories. Make sure to check out the commercial right after this newscast to hear about the amazing perks that come with memberships. It's a commercial of Carl, a rebel soldier who goes back to Hoth, is attacked by a Wampa, and then has to use his Star Wars Daddy membership perks to give him the Force to escape. As exciting as it is, it goes over all of the awesome perks that we have here and all the free things that you get from me. Speaking of which, in a few days we have our monthly member-only drawing for a modern mint on-card Boba Fett signed by Jeremy Bullock in a protective acrylic case. Another prize, of a Kenner Hong Kong Boba Fett, complete with its blaster and a nice Boba Fett art print. And then finally, as a consolation prize for a third winner, a Boba Fett tin wind-up figure mint in the box. So please make sure to watch that commercial to learn about all of those perks, or click the link in the description of this video to find out more. Also, stick around after the end credits of this episode to see any bloopers from the filming of this episode. I already know there's plenty. Typically, it's clips of me losing my mind and calling myself an idiot, which most viewers seem to enjoy. Collectors, let's keep things classy and never forget who is your daddy. Hey, it's me, Carl, a rebel soldier, and I'm back on Hoth again, searching for all those amazing perks that come with the Star Wars Daddy membership program here on YouTube, which I just signed up for. At least it's safe here now that the Empire has been destroyed. Wait, what's that? Ah! Oh no, the Wampa got me? The only way for me to get out of this situation is by using the Force. The Force that comes from the Star Wars Daddy membership perks, like member-only monthly giveaways. Free action figures and Star Wars Daddy stickers on your next eBay purchase. Free eBay shipping on all action figures and accessories in the middle and top tiers of memberships. And the Star Wars Daddy t-shirt I'm wearing after certain tenure. There are even more perks, but I don't have time to list them all off with this Wampa situation. I've got to use all these membership perks. I'm feeling the Force. I'm feeling the Force. Memberships! Memberships! And I've honestly not watched it until net. It's also been reported that the standard Stormtrooper helmets wouldn't fit. Cocky and refused to go, okay, we're having fun with this one, held to the same standards as all the rest of us. Start over. Well, I never said the guy died. Right? It's not even in there. Okay, let's start this over. Lauren said, how will... okay. Kevin West... Geesh. Bloopers. Here we go. Here is a pic of the... okay, geesh, dude.